Hello everyone and welcome back to Monsters of the Past. As always, I'm your host, Mr.G. So, tell me, do you guys like bugs? I'm sure most of you said no or something like that, and I can see why. Bugs are generally considered to be pests, or ugly animals in general. But at least we can rest, knowing that bugs don't generally get that big, and even the biggest bugs are pretty small, even by animal standards. But what if I told you that in the past, bugs could reach absolutely huge sizes? Well, at least by bug standards. None of them are ever going to give something like a blue whale a run for their money, obviously. Well, that's what today's episode is about. Today we're talking about those giant bugs that crawled all over the world during the before human era. For example, there's the carboniferous giant dragonfly known as Meganeura, which was the size of an eagle. There was the giant millipede Arthroplura, which was the size of a small car. You wouldn't have to worry about it, though. Most scientists think it was an herbivore. But then again, hippos are herbivores, and they're one of the most dangerous animals on the planet, so, you never know. Or how about this lovely unnamed spider from the Jurassic, which was bigger than the Goliath bird eater, which, need I remind you, is the size of a dinner plate. Ooh, how about Titomyrania, which was an ant that could grow up to an inch long. Okay, that's not as impressive as it sounds, but keep in mind that ants are usually only like a centimeter long. We also had cockroaches the size of small cats. Doesn't that just sound lovely? Wouldn't you love to see that in your room in the middle of the night? Just walk in and see a giant cockroach crawling around? Ooh, and how about scorpions the size of golden retrievers? Yes, you heard that right. Those scary bugs with their hooked tails and their claws being the size of a big dog. Doesn't that just sound wonderful? So, how did this happen? Well, with the exception of the Jurassic spider and the giant ant, which lived after the dinosaurs, most of these are explained by the fact that during the Carboniferous period, which is when most of them lived, there is more oxygen in Earth's atmosphere, and because of that, bugs were able to breathe more, which in turn led them to grow bigger body sizes. In fact, if Earth's oxygen ever did increase again, then it's probably likely that these giant bugs would potentially re-evolve. Okay, now that I've probably infected your entomophobic nightmares for a while, let's just look at the two giant bug cards this series has spawned out. Get it? Spawned because bugs. Okay, this card's weird, because when I first saw this, I thought that this was supposed to be a Meganeura, and I was just like, well, okay, Protodont is probably just an old name for Meganeura or something. Except no. Protodonata is actually the name of an order of extinct dragonflies. So, yeah. However, it should be noted that the name Protodonata is no longer used. Nowadays, this group is known as Meganisoptera. So that's an error. This card also has a debatable error. It claims that dragonflies were the first creatures capable of flight, but that just doesn't sound right. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't really research bugs that much because, frankly, bugs are disgusting. I'd give this card a 9 out of 10 just because of the outdated name. Okay, then we have the giant ant card, which calls it Formician, which isn't outdated as that's still a genus, but it says it's been found in Germany, and the German species of Formician have been renamed to Titanomyrenia. So, yeah. Anyway, this card is very, 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 very speculative, as it tries to make these ants seem more scary than they probably actually were. Like, for example, we don't actually know how giant ants would have behaved, but this card claims that giant ants acted exactly like modern-day army ants. And it also claims that they had venom as sprays, kind of like crazy ants. It's pretty clear to me that this card was just trying to combine all the scariest things about modern day ants they could to try to make this thing look scarier than it probably actually was. In fact, it claims it was a carnivore, even though most scientists think that the giant ants were herbivorous. I give this card a 6 out of 10 for fear mongering. Okay, let's wrap this up by looking at some giant bugs in prehistoric media. In the original Jurassic Park novel, Meganura is briefly alluded to as the main cast are riding down a river. Meganura also later appeared in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder. And Jurassic Park Builder featured the giant millipede Arthropleura, where it shares the same animations as Titanoboa and therefore acts more like a snake than a millipede. Walking with Monsters featured Arthropleura, as well as the giant dragonfly Meganura, and the giant scorpion Brontoscorpio. Walking with Beast featured the giant ant Titanomarinia, where they're seen devouring a Gasornis egg. The video game Ark Survival Evolved features several giant bugs. Some of them are real, like Meganura or Pulmonoscorpius, Arthropleura, Titanomarinia, and the giant bee, which is based on a fossilized bee found in Japan. Some of them are made up, though, like the giant dung beetle or the giant mantis, which are clearly animals that are based on the concept of giant bugs without being based on a specific animal species. That's all for this episode of Monsters of the Past. Join me next time when I talk about Triceratops' grandparents. Bye!